Hello everyone, Neil Patel here. Thank you for downloading the latest episode of the Indian Startup Show. So today I speak to celebrity chef, entrepreneur and businesswoman Pooja Dhingra. She's the owner of a bakery chain, Le15 Patisserie. So in this podcast we talk about how she learned everything from scratch, the challenges she's had to overcome, building a brand, a love of chocolate, the reality of being a celebrity chef, and finally she talks about her food heaven and food hell. It's truly an amazing story and one that will inspire you as well. So please enjoy the show. Thank you. Hello Pooja, thank you for coming on the Indian Startup Show today.
Thank you for having me, Neil.
Please tell us what you do.
I'm a pastry chef. I own a brand called Le15 Patisserie in Mumbai.
Excellent. And how did you come up with the idea? Sounds interesting.
How did I come up with the idea? Wow, okay, that's a long one and a short one at the same time. Basically, I have been obsessed with desserts ever since I was a little girl. For a brief moment there, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. That didn't last too long. 2 weeks into school, I quit. Moved to Switzerland, moved to Paris to go to culinary school. Ate my first macaroon, fell in love with it, and decided that I wanted to bring the macaroon back to India. So that's how that happened.
Excellent. And how things are going?
Things are going great. I mean, it's been in March. In the 1st of March, we finished 9 years of Le15. Mm-hmm. That's what the pastry shop is called. We finished 9 years. So I started when I was 23, and yeah, it's been like a roller coaster, journey. It's been this crazy ride where I feel like as if I've just blinked and 9 years have just passed.
Why is it called Le15 then?
So basically I lived in the 15th arrondissement in Paris. Like Paris is divided into 20 different quartiers or arrondissements. And the 15th is where I lived, it's where my school was. It essentially felt like, like super French, and for 1 year that was my home away from home. So I wanted everybody when they walk into any one of our cafes to really feel like they were in the 15th. So that's why.
Well, let's go back to the beginning then.
Yes.
How did you actually get started? What kind of research did you do?
I always knew that, growing up in Mumbai, it kind of, you always saw, I used to think that the funny thing was that you felt like every restaurant or hotel had the same pastry chef because you had the same 5 pastries everywhere you went. And when I moved to Paris and I kind of saw this world of pastry where it's actually like, close to art, and all these different kind of things. You had macaroons, you had eclairs, you had all these different things that I'd never seen before. And even though I lived in Switzerland for 4 years before that. So I kept asking myself that why is it not available in India? Is it because, the ingredients are not available? Will people not like it? And then when I ate a macaroon, I fell in love with it. My father loved it. And I said, if my father loves it, that means that, the average Indian customer would love it because my father is so fussy. And so then I just, came back and started doing some research and really wanted to bring like a piece of Paris back to Mumbai and see how can I create that authentic French patisserie experience, but, where India meets France. And just I started experimenting from my home kitchen for 3 months and just saw the response that I was getting, giving it to my friends, family. And then, soon after that, I think I was working out of my mother's kitchen and she got truly frustrated and wanted to kick me out. And I had to move to a professional space very soon.
So did you learn everything from scratch then?
Yes. Everything from scratch. Like I said, so I was 23 when I started. So I didn't really have I knew what I wanted to do, and I did go to a hospitality school, which was kind of like we had a year of business studies in there. So I knew the basics of like making a business plan and how things go. But, I don't think anybody can teach you. I don't think any school can really teach you what running a business truly is. I feel like I was just thrown in the deep end and I just had to figure things out for myself. Also, starting a business in India when you are that young and you're a girl is not really the easiest thing. Mm-hmm. So it was a bit of a challenge, and it took me some time to kind of actually find my footing.
Any specific challenges?
How much time do we have?
any interesting stories you can share?
Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite story to tell, and I think I'll just, wrap it up quickly. It's basically, so when I would go to maybe, rent places or buy heavy equipment or any of that kind of thing, everybody always wanted to know where my husband was or where my father was. So that was the first question they would ask me. And there was this one incident where somebody actually came and asked me where my husband is, and I said, I don't have one. And he just looked at me, and the first question he asked me is like, why is he off? And it took me like a minute to realize he means, is he dead? And I was like, wow, you're asking me if my husband is dead. So I think that it just took a little bit of time to get used to, even for people to kind of get used to the idea that there's this young girl who's running her own business, and there's no husband and there's no father to kind of talk to, and then they just had to deal with me.
In terms of pastries, then, is it quite healthy or unhealthy?
I mean, so we started with truly French pastry, so a lot of butter.
Okay.
That makes everything better. But currently, we do have a menu that we have some healthy things. We have a lot of keto is really big in India now, so we have a lot of things on keto menu. We do some sugar-free things. We customize it based on customer preferences, and if they place an order with us, we can do it. But primarily, I mean, we're a dessert brand, so we believe in the indulgence, and it's that one great bite of something that takes you to another place.
In terms of marketing and attracting customers, then who are you trying to attack? Is it families or?
So I think for us, the great thing is that everybody loves sugar. And so when I set out, like, there was no sort of targeted marketing, sort of any kind of thing like that. It was just like, I'm creating a product that I truly love and believe in. And with food, it's so personal, and it's so like, if it's all word of mouth, right? Like, if you taste something and you like it, you're going to go tell all your friends about it. So I never restricted who I was. We have someone who's 5 years old who'll enter the cafe and go pick a pink macaroon, and then we'll have her grandfather who's walking with her who'll get a coffee macaroon. So it's really open to all age groups. We do try to get in something for everybody in terms of a flavor profile, but I think birthday cakes and celebrations are really big, so I don't really worry about who I'm targeting to.
Okay, great. And baking wise, where'd you get the ideas from? So are you mixing Western flavors with the Eastern flavors then?
I do some of that.
Yeah.
I do some of that. So when I moved back, one of the big things was that I wanted to get French technique and Indian flavors. So we did a whole of these these mixed macaroons where we had a masala chai macaroon and a green chili one, a pan one. So we do have a collection of things that are inspired, flavors are inspired by India, and the technique to make them is French. But that's a small part of our menu. The other things are all I'm most popular ones are the dark chocolate and the salted caramel and sea salt, and really typically French flavors.
What's the best-selling one?
The best-selling one is actually a dark chocolate macaroon and a sea salt macaroon.
And talk about the team, because obviously you're not doing this on your own. So how big's the team?
Yeah. So I started Le15 with 3 people. We started 9 years ago with 3 people. Today we are somewhere around 145 of us. We have, we have a different, so we work out of a central kitchen. So we have the actual production of the dessert that happens centrally, and then it's shipped and transported to different parts of our stores that are in different parts of the city. We have a corporate team that works in-house, that we have marketing, we have sales, we have operations, finance, bunch of different roles. We have a lot of 60% of our corporate team is female. We have one of our head chefs at one of our cafes is a friend of mine from culinary school who is half Colombian, half Hungarian, and I asked him to come to India 3 years ago for 2 months, and he's just stayed around, and So he's helping us with, so he handles all the savory part of the food. I do all the sweet. And so these operations we, just used to run in Mumbai. And I think we're reaching a stage where we're slowly thinking of expanding to different cities and kind of figuring out. We recently launched an e-commerce business where we actually supply our macaroons to 12 different cities in India. So you can just go online and buy them. So the team for that is separate. So yeah, it's definitely not a singular effort. There's, nuts and bolts and everyone keeping this machine moving. And I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
And what's your management style like? And then how's it changed over the 9 years?
For me, when I started, I think it was just, I think it's taken me a lot of time to kind of understand what kind of person I am and what kind of leader I am. When I started, I was just so young and I was so eager to kind of make sure that everybody likes me, that I always kind of, I was just kind of finding myself. It's only in the last couple of years that I've, come to terms of, as a person, as an employer, like I've just kind of understood what makes me tick, how I deal with people. So I think my style is pretty laid back, but at the same time, work needs to get done. I'm pretty goal driven and, I go really by like outcomes and really I like to give people freedom to work as long as I know there's like constant, there's like a feedback loop of like what is going on. I don't need to like be in your business every day, but just update me on what's happening and if you're reaching your goals and targets, and then we're all good.
You mentioned goals and targets. So are you motivated by money then?
I would say yes. I would really, at this stage in my career, I would really, I think it's taken me a while to kind of understand, because I started this out of pure passion, right? I started it out of my house and then moved to kitchen, and we've grown so much in the last 9 years, and money was never really the driving force. And I kind of, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, or if I had to kind of look back and give someone advice on when they start their business, I think that especially for women, and I think women in India, I think taking charge of your finances and realizing that you're doing this, it's a business at the end of the day, and you're doing this to make money. And, passion is obviously what drives it, but if you're not making money, nothing can function properly. So, yes, I would say that currently my biggest motivator is, running a profitable business and truly understanding, the finances of it, which to be very honest, I didn't do for the first 7 years until I was not forced to. And really, like, life kind of pushes you in a situation where you have to take charge, and that's what happened to me.
Yeah, a lot of businesses do fail, but yours is still going. I'm curious to know what mistakes do you see in other businesses?
I mean, I don't know. I can list a lot of mistakes that I make. I think that it's so subjective. It really depends on what kind of business and where they are at, what their business goals are, how the team is. What I think the biggest mistake that most people make is that they don't really account for all the people problems that you'll face. I think that even in terms of like training, in terms of revenue, in terms of everything, it's HR is, I think, not people don't give it as much of an importance while planning. That's one of the mistakes that I also made when I first made my business plan. I didn't really account for those exact number of salaries, which kind of was difficult later. So I think that really focusing on HR, truly understanding what your business stands for, who it's targeting, what and also be open to change, right? Because I feel like the biggest companies that fail don't see change coming. Like for example, like Kodak, right? Mm-hmm. One of those examples where everything was going digital, and it's like it's like this big red flag in front of you and you don't see it. So I think for us as well, like the health question you asked was so important also, because that's a big change in the world where everyone is moving towards healthier desserts and options. So if I was just to be blind to that and say I don't do that at all, that would be a mistake.
Looking back on the journey, would you change anything?
I mean, I definitely do think that I'm the kind of person who likes to look at mistakes and see them as lessons, and look at them and say that, okay, and today I look at the mistakes and say that I've learned all these lessons, maybe some the hard way. I think what I would definitely change is have a stronger control on the finances, and definitely not be as trusting.
Cool. And you mentioned Paris. What was the key learning or key takeaway from your time in Paris? Must have been sounded exciting.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Paris was just incredible. I was 21 years old. I was living there, working in a chocolate shop. I think it was the greatest year of my life. I think that what I really love about the French is how they just enjoy the simple things, right? Like everything is a celebration, a meal. You'll never see a person really walking and drinking coffee or eating in Paris. Food is really celebrated. You have to sit down, whether it's a picnic or at a table. You enjoy your meals. Everything is really ingredient driven. I think that for me, that was a really big change, to really slow things down and just pause and enjoy your food experiences. I think that was my biggest takeaway from my time in Paris.
And did you speak the language as well?
So I actually, I think that after a few glasses of wine, I'm extremely fluent. I could understand everything. My biggest problem was I would be a bit shy when I was speaking it. So I do this thing every year where I set out one super challenge for myself that I think is a bit unattainable. And so it could be silly things like personal or professional. Like, so one year I wanted to run the half marathon, or one year I wanted to dance on stage, things like that. So 2 years ago, I got a phone call from a French company that had they wanted me to come and speak to an audience of 5,000 people in Bordeaux. And they were like, we'd love for you. It's like small business owners. We'd love for you to come tell us your story. And, I just heard like free trip to France. Yes. and I just committed to doing it. And then a week later, they called me and told me, I hope you realize the talk is in French. Oh. So I took it up as a challenge, and I had a year to do it. So I went all in. That's actually how I started listening to podcasts. I started learning French, and then so I went to Bordeaux in September 2017, and I spoke French in front of 5,000 people.
Yeah. So any advice to our listeners then who are thinking of doing some public speaking?
Drink wine before you go on stage, but just enough, not too much. Yeah. No, I think what's truly important is just to, it is really, I had, the biggest butterflies. I was questioning myself, and I was just asking myself, like, why have I agreed to do this? But the minute I went on stage, and I kind of, the feeling that you get soon after, and I think that what people want is just to see an authentic story. So even if it's about you, most of the time it's about you talking about your stories. So I don't think that you should be nervous or scared or anything, because as long as you're true and authentic, you'll connect with the audience, and then everything will be fine.
Cool. Well, last few questions then.
Yes.
Do you have any heroes that inspire you?
The person I admire the most and I want to be when I grow up is Oprah Winfrey. I am a super big fan. I've dedicated my last cookbook to her. I just grew up watching her, and I think that she was, a role model that I think as young girls, you don't really have too many role models that are not like celebrity actors. So I think that she was one for me. I also really have some chefs that I look up to and admire, and kind of whether it's David Chang in the US, or it's Jamie Oliver or Nigella Lawson, just to see what they're doing with food, and actually not just being chefs, but also some sort of responsibility with culture and sustainability.
It seems like chefs the new like superstars now, like celebrity chefs. I consider you as a celebrity chef. So what's it like being a celebrity chef up there with the Olivers and the David Changs?
I don't know. I think that that's my that's actually the reason I started a podcast last year called No Sugar Code. And I think that the reason I started it was that because everybody just looks at this from the outside and kind of says that, oh, this world is so glamorous and you just have to kind of wake up and be beautiful. And I'm just like, no, I work 16 hours a day. I'm exhausted most of the time. I don't understand this glamour part of it. The glamour is probably like 20 minutes of a week that you show up somewhere. But other than that, it's like you're in your chef whites in the kitchen, just doing the hard work. So it's not, I don't really relate to it. But at the same time, what I really enjoy or what I like and I'm grateful for is that when I started my career 10 years ago, being a chef or being a female chef wasn't really an appropriate sort of career choice in India. And 10 years later, you have so many young girls who come and tell me that, we're going to culinary school thanks to you. And I think that if that is the impact that the status of celebrity has, then I think that that's great. Because if it lets young girls go out and do what they want and find a career of passion.
Last few questions then. What's your favorite food then?
Oh, my favorite food. I think that anything to do with dark chocolate is, if I had to eat one thing for the rest of my life, it'd probably be dark chocolate. And then at home, I just basically, I really like simple home cooked Indian food. And just, I like really clean, simple flavors, nothing too complicated, nothing too spicy. I can't handle spice and chilies at all.
Least favorite food?
Least favorite are these Indian vegetables that I just really can't stand. Some of them. Yeah.
And do you have any books or blogs you would recommend to our listeners?
Some books. I think one of my favorite go-to books is Shoe Dog. That's the story of Phil Knight and Nike. I love that one. I love, there's an Indian author called Subrata Bagchi. And he has a book on entrepreneurship that truly helped me when I was, in my early 20s trying to write a business plan. So that's a great one. Podcasts, I love Tim Ferriss. I truly love Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. How I built this, I love listening to stories of how businesses were built. So those are my picks.
Brilliant. Okay, last question. If someone wants more information on you and Le15, how do they get in touch?
So you can go onto our website, which is le15.com, or follow me on social media, which is on Instagram, which is @Pooja Dhingra on Instagram and Twitter. And Le15 is @Le15 India on Instagram and Twitter.
Brilliant. Actually, one last question. In terms of branding, that must play a big part.
It does.
Do you have like a strategy for that for our listeners?
So I think that when I started the strategy was just basically creating a product that, or even whether it was packaging or anything else, it was about being clean, fresh, new. No one was making colorful cake boxes. Everyone was doing the little, boring old brown boxes. So I think it was just about a little bit of my personality that kind of came onto every little thing that we did. And it was just about having fun and being a little bit sassy. So I think authenticity it works and people really connect with that.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good to me. Pooja, thank you for coming on the show today.
And thank you so much, Neil.
Thanks to Pooja for coming on the show today, and check out the links if you want more information. Thank you for listening, and if you want to come on the show, please email me hello@neilpatel.co, and let's connect on facebook.com/Indian Startup Show and Twitter @Indian Startup SH. Thank you and goodbye.